We're going to take a look at 4 parts of our parabola here. One will be the axis of symmetry. That's something new for us. And also our vertex of a parabola. It's kind of like the vertex of an absolute value function, but the parabola is a different shape than an absolute value function, but same idea. And then we have our domain. We know that's our set of the x's. And our range, which would be our y's. So let's look at a parabola. So first off, our axis of symmetry. Our axis of symmetry is basically just splitting that parabola right down the center. So that would be our axis of symmetry. And it's an equation of a line. Well, a vertical line. What's the equation of a vertical line? Oh, that's right. It's an x equals equation. So that would be x equals, and we're going through -1 down here. We're going through -1. So it's going to be x equals -1 for this axis of symmetry. Now, not all axes of symmetry will be x equals -1, but they will be x equals when we're talking about the axis of symmetry for a parabola. So let's remember that. Axis of symmetry, it's an equation. X equals -1, not just -1. It's an equation. X equals -1. Next thing we have will be our vertex. Our vertex is right down here. It's that little point at the very bottom. For our vertex, it's just an ordered pair, a point, which would be -1 for x, and in this case, +2 for y. It is not a coincidence that the x value of our vertex and the x equals -1 for our axis of symmetry are the same value. That will always occur. The x value here and what x equals up here will be the same thing. So those are our 2 new parts of the parabola. For our domain and range, the first thing about our domain, that would be the x's, our horizontal, going horizontal numbers here. Well, this parabola keeps going and going and going over to the right and over to the left, so if it keeps going to the right and to the left, our domain is x equals all real numbers. And our range, those would be our y's. Well, for our range, we start down here, and it goes above this line. So that means that I'm greater than or equal to +2. Because all my values are going above that. And it doesn't stop going up. It keeps on going up and up and up and up and up. It started from the bottom and now it's up here. It keeps going. That was hilarious. All right. So there's our domain and our range. Here's a couple practice problems for you to try. We want to identify the vertex, axis of symmetry, domain, and range. So I want you to pause the video, try it, see how it's explained, and see if you get it right. So our vertex is going to be this guy right in here. We are at the point 4, 2. So our vertex is 4, 2. Keep it nice and organized up here. Our axis of symmetry would be next. Our axis of symmetry is this line going right through the middle here. That's an x equals, and what does x equal right there? Oh, it equals 4. Oh, that's crazy. It's the same as the x-coordinate of the vertex. No, it's not crazy. That's always going to happen. Alrighty, so I've got those 2 parts. Now my domain. For my domain, we're talking about the x values. With parabolas, it's actually always all real numbers. And then my range, it's going to be y is either greater than or equal to, or it's going to be less than or equal to a number. Well, here, 2 is really the highest that goes, and then it keeps on going down. So I'm going to be y is less than or equal to +2. So there's my domain and range, vertex, and axis of symmetry for this first one. Let's look at the next one now. And pause if you haven't tried it yet. I want you to try it on your own. Don't be scared. I know you can do it because you're awesome, because you're a Red Raider. So here's my vertex down here. It's that little point at the very bottom. Well, my vertex is going to be 2, -1. So there's my vertex. All right. Next thing I need, my axis of symmetry. A lovely vertical line, which just so happens to, not just so happens to, it always does, goes through x equals 2, the same coordinate as my vertex. So we have my vertex is 2, -1. My axis of symmetry is x equals 2. And then our domain and range. Well, remember my domain with parabolas, it's x equals all real numbers, because it keeps on going to the right and it keeps on going to the left as it goes up or goes down. And lastly, my range. In this case, my range, well, here we go, here's the lowest point, and it's going up from there. So I'm going to be greater than, y is greater than or equal to -1. Bada boom, bada bang. Something else you may have noticed would be our y value of our vertex also matches up with the value in the range. Crazy. So if you look here, our vertex is 2 for our y value. That matches up in my range. I'm either going to be greater than, or I'm going to be less than or equal, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to that value. Over here, I had -1 for my vertex. -1 for the vertex. -1 was the value in my range. Coincidence? I think not. They're somehow all intertwined with each other, and that's exciting.